Okay, so this session is recorded for you to play back at your convenience. Okay, and again, if we need more time to discuss assessments, we are going to extend it. Okay, so just a bit of reminder. In the previous session, we discussed the micro-environmental forces. Okay, so you want to detail the competitors' analysis, the customers' analysis, for instance. Okay. And there are some other a few actors like suppliers, for instance, that you may share with the entire global operation of the business, which is fine. Okay, so you just need to write a brief comment on it. Okay, so that means they are not going to affect a lot in terms of any markets that you select. It may not be affected by from the supplier perspective. Okay. In saying that, the distance between your supplier based in another country and overseas to your selected market may affect the costs, right? Just giving you a heads up, okay? And we also discussed the 4 or 5 forces in the previous session, okay? 4 or 5 forces is a good model for us to understand, to analyze the attractiveness of the market, okay? All right, so so we've discussed the macro-environmental forces, and we've discussed the micro-environmental actors, and tonight we are going to discuss the SWOT analysis, briefly about risk, okay, and also about the evaluation metrics, all right? Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Okay. Now, SWOT analysis is actually quite popular. It is one of the most popular management concepts that both scholars and academic practitioners agree that understanding SWOT is one of the key tools, one of the important tools for us to analyze our business. Okay, and it is actually reflecting the what you call the strategic fit analysis between the internal elements, okay, reflected by the strengths and weaknesses, and also the external environment, okay, that are reflected by the opportunity and threats, okay. So therefore, we say that it is the strategic fit analysis, okay. In other words, it is actually about do we have the capability to manage the external, the ever-changing external environment forces, okay? And now let's have a look at this one, okay? Strengths and weaknesses are internal components, okay? They are actually the unique capabilities that we have in the competition, okay? They give us, the strengths give us the advantages, right, in the competition. Okay, therefore, it is related to the capabilities of the organization, the asset of the organization, or the unique resources of the organization, okay, in the competition. Now, weaknesses are the opposite, okay? So they are the, they reflect the assets, resources, or capabilities that we don't have in the competition, okay? So if I set up a cafe, okay, and I have investors backing me up, okay, to in running the cafe. So I can claim that I have strong financial resources. That is one of my strengths. Okay, that goes to my strengths. Okay, with my financial resources, what can I do? Well, I can do many things. Okay, I can advertise, for instance, right? I can run strong advertising campaign that influence consumer behavior favorably to my business. Okay, that's the competitive advantage I have with one of the competitive advantages that I have with the strong financial resources. Okay, I can also hire good talents from the market. Okay, very fine talents from the market because I have strong financial resources. Okay, now let's say since I am new in the business, okay, I cannot provide my customers with tasty sandwiches, for instance. Okay. Well, is that my weakness? Yes, it is my weakness. My weakness. Okay. What drives that poor performance? Well, that could be because I have poor network to the suppliers. Okay, I don't have the access to the suppliers. Okay, while my competitors, since they have been in the business for many years, they have the access to the suppliers already. Okay, so I'm still new. I haven't got the insights about the supplier, for instance. Okay, so that becomes my weakness. Okay, what is my weakness in here? Well, in this instance, my weakness is about not having the network or access to suppliers, so that I can't provide my customers with strong sandwich product range. Okay, right. So that's basically strengths and weaknesses in a nutshell. Okay. Now, opportunities and threats. Okay, opportunities and threats are external elements, right? If you remember, you may recall that in a couple of sessions ago, we discussed about macro environmental forces, okay, past analysis, okay? The outcome of the past analysis revolves around the impact being positive only or negative only. Can't be both, can't be neutral, okay? Now, the positive impact, okay, actually come under opportunity. The negative impact goes to our threats. Okay, in other words, this is the opportunity for us when we write the entry strategy, when we write a business strategy. This is a good opportunity for us to link the environment forces and also the internal elements of the business. Okay, remember what is the characteristic of a good strategy? Well, it should show one intact thinking. Okay, it should show the link between one thing to the other things. Okay. The threats are basically, again, reflect the unfavorable past forces and also competitors. Okay. Now, this is the thing that I often find. Okay, people may confuse between strengths and opportunities, and weakness and threats. Okay. What we need to recall, what we need to remember in here is actually internal and external. Okay. When we say internal, it is basically within our control, or at least we can influence them. Okay. Now, if they are beyond our control, therefore we include them as external forces. In other words, they become either opportunity or threats. Okay. So I often find people, for instance, include competition in the weakness. Strong competition in this industry. Hang on a second. You talk about external elements here. Okay, competition. They are competitors, right? You don't have controls on the competitors, right? You don't have any controls on how they manage the organization, what products that they launch, what promotional activities that they launch, what the other marketing activities that they launch, okay, or they undertake, right? You have little control over about that thing. Okay, you can do your own business that may affect them, but it is indirect. Okay, therefore, and you talk about the industry as well. Therefore, it is something beyond the organization. So you need to include that as the threat. Okay, right. So hopefully that gives you a bit of illustration. Okay, and again, strengths and weaknesses are basically about the organization's assets, the organization's unique assets, unique resources, and unique capabilities. Okay, threats include competitors and unfavorable pasts. Okay, when it comes to competitors, of course, we talk about the existing competitors and future competitors. Okay, so for instance, in Australian retail industry, you can also argue that the existing, if you're Woolworth, the existing competitors would be, the current players, right? Like Coles, IGA, Aldi, and Pups and Mum Shop in the grocery stores, right? What would be your future competitors? Well, they may include those guys, like Walmart, for instance. They've been eyeing Australian market, or Lidl, for instance, another budget supermarket from Europe. Okay, so they are future you can include them as the future competitors as well in Australian market. Okay, all right. Now I populated a bit of information in terms of understanding the organizational resources, okay, or organizational assets. Okay, there are 4 sources in here that we can have a look when we analyze the company. So pretty much you are actually mapping whether this goes to the organization's strengths or this goes to the organization weakness. Okay, so the first one is customer-based assets, which is basically about the relationship. Okay, relationship with the customers, relationship with the network, okay, relationship with the distribution channel, for instance. Okay, so that's and relationship in the industry as well. So that's basically customer-based assets. Okay, the next one is company name and brand and reputation, such as brand name, okay, brand value, brand equity. Okay, if you have strong brand equity, okay, it will be easier for you when you launch new product. Okay, think about Apple, for instance. They have a strong brand equity. Okay? When they announced a couple of years ago, hey, we are going to launch Apple some time ago. Okay, they announced it. We are going to launch iPhone 10. Now they are launching iPhone 10s and 10x, 10 Max. Okay, well, their customers have lined up in front of the store a couple of days before they open the store for that product. Okay, so that's an example of the power of brand name in relation to the competitive advantage that it gives. Okay, now country of origin is interesting. Some markets, basically, country of origin are quite powerful in some markets. Okay, in China, for instance, there are studies suggest that the consumers prefer the Western brands. Okay, and you may also be able to access to some media reports, for instance, that suggest that the Chinese consumers prefer Western brands rather than the local brands. Okay, so they prefer iPhone, for instance, over the Chinese brands, for instance. Okay, so that sits in a nice position in the consumer's mindset when it comes to country of origin. So it's kind of stamp of quality when it comes to country of origin. Okay. Interestingly, there are studies about country of origin in America that shows the comparison between it is in the butcher's category, butcher product category. So they compare meat made in USA that shows made in USA and the other one made in Mexico. Okay, and consumers are willingly to pay higher price to the one that shows made in USA rather than the ones made in Mexico. Okay, and that paper also suggests that the audits, from audit perspective, when they did the audit and they found that basically the process and so on and so forth basically have the same standard. Okay, so that helps us to understand the perception as well. Okay. I think it is also fair to say that country of origin, aside from helping, supporting certain perception, it should also support the claim that we are making. Okay, otherwise consumers will lose trust. Okay, and in Australian market as well, consumers may prefer the Australian products rather than the products made in overseas in Asia. Okay. Right, market domination or strong market share, for instance. Okay, that is an interesting one as well. Okay, if we have strong market share, right? Let's say if we have a 50% market share, is that a strength for us? Yes, it is. Okay, how could that become a strength? Well, if we dominate that market, okay, a number of things that we can enjoy. Okay, as the competitive advantage, we can get a better economies of scale, so we can be efficient in our operation. Okay, therefore we can offer with cheaper price. Right? Samsung enjoys that benefit. Samsung produced microchips. Okay, and they anticipated that the Chinese players would also do that in the global competition. So what they did was, when the Chinese players launched their own products, they dropped the price of their current products and launched a higher added value products. Okay, so with that, actually, the Chinese players must sell their microchips. The price, the new price of the existing product actually was below the cost of the Chinese players. okay, because they dominate the market, they dominate the industry. Okay, superior innovative product services, that is absolutely another key strength of the organization. Okay, we know that some companies are so innovative, and it has become a turnaround for the company from being, from struggling in the market, struggling or probably close to bankruptcy like Apple, okay, to be a $1 trillion business. Okay, you may not have heard this, but back in September 1990, Apple was actually close to filing bankruptcy. Okay, they launched a number of products in the market and they failed in the market. Okay, and at the time they sacked Steve Jobs, okay, because of those failures. But in September 1990, they gave it another go, and they said, to be successful in this industry, we need to drive the innovation. Okay, so they reinstalled Steve Jobs back at a time to do that task, because he has got that innovation talent. Okay, leading the innovation for the company. And he did a number of things, including streamlining the distribution, streamlining the product offering, and launched a number of new products into the market, okay, including the iPhone's App Store. The word apps is actually one of the things that they introduced to the market, okay. iPad, iPod, iTunes, a different kind of music store, okay, and so on and so forth, right? And that has turned around the company to become $1 trillion now, which is basically the same GDP size of the Italian economy. Okay, so yes, that helps us to build the competitive advantage as well. Okay, so if you have built your reputation, your organization's reputation as innovative products, when you enter that market, that will give you the competitive advantage for your business. Okay, so you need to assess whether you have got that or not in your in the competition. Okay. Now, internal support assets, that could be cost structure, for instance. Okay, look, cost structure is interesting. We need to have that skills as well, managing our costs, running the business. Okay, although our product is premium, or we offer something, at the luxury item, we offer luxury items. We also need to consider the cost structure of running the business. At the end of the day, we want the business to make profits. Okay, and in terms of cost structure, it may also be related to the supply chain assets. In this instance, the network, okay, to supply, okay, to global supply chain, okay, to help us reducing the costs. Okay, aside from our volume, aside from efficiency in the business process, okay, to make us more efficient. Okay, think about businesses, especially businesses who claim to be affordable, like Aldi, for instance. Okay, guys, do you shop at Aldi or not? By the way, no. How about you, Davis?
Pardon?
Do you shop at Aldi or not?
Yeah, I shop at Aldi.
You shop at Aldi, okay? Yes. Well, these guys need to be able to manage their low-cost operations. Okay, they've done a number of things. If you look at their operations, okay, they only offer limited product range, for instance. Okay, they don't offer a wide product range in the shelves. Right, that helps them to save the money. That helps them to save the cost. Okay, people running around in the selling area you'll find less people in the selling area rather than Woolies and Coles, for instance. That also helps them managing the costs of running the business. Okay, if you also look at the size of the store, since they only offer the main items, the main products. Okay. They don't need large size of the store. And in markets like Australia, property prices are so expensive, okay, although it's now declining a little bit, but yes, it is still expensive. And with that, they can also be more efficient in terms of the costs. Yeah. Right, information system technologies that also, or the knowledge, okay, the intellectual properties, for instance, that you gain, okay, through registering the patents, for instance. That's also part of the internal support assets. Okay, you have the assets with that. Some brands like Panadol, for instance, registered the patent for paracetamol. No one else could use that formula, paracetamol formula. But now the patent has been worn out, so anybody else can launch products, painkillers with paracetamol. Okay, licenses, market-oriented culture, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Again, from supply chain perspective, it's about network. You access your retailers, your wholesalers, your distribution channels, okay, your suppliers, okay. So that's about it, okay. It is also critical for us to understand the supply chain assets, because that helps us managing the efficient operations, okay. And the next one is the alliance-based assets, which is basically about the assets to access to markets, for instance. Okay, so if we have the access to market, access to skills and knowledge, okay, shared technology or exclusivity of performing something, for instance, that is definitely an asset for the organization. Okay, if we win the contract from international operation perspective, if we win a contract with the government, then it is an exclusivity that we enjoy. Okay, so there are basically some assets that you want to consider in your strength and weaknesses analysis. Okay, you just need to look at which one is your which one goes to strengths, which one goes to weakness. Okay. And on top of that, you can also include the financial resources. Okay. Okay. Now, this is actually a little bit about the elements of the competitive advantage. Okay, we just discussed before that the strengths that we enjoy should give us certain performance, okay, or in other words, the competitive advantage. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a bit of illustration. If you have strong superior skills in doing something, or strong knowledge in doing something, okay, in the competition, then it is quite you can consider that as a strength. Okay, because you are the organization. Your organization is the only one that has the knowledge or the know-how. Okay, and potentially it can deliver superior customer value. Okay, stronger customer value if you compare to your competitors. Okay, what is the expected performance outcomes? Well, you can generate high level of customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, and market share, and also profits. Okay, now organizations would normally invest that back to keep nurturing their strengths. Okay, one thing that I'd like to highlight to you in terms of strengths is nothing is fixed in life. Okay, if we go back to the previous one here, okay, we may have that strength today, okay, but normally companies conduct what we call as a strategic planning process. Okay, I'm not going to touch that area, just try to tie into that subject. I believe you are doing that subject. Normally companies will do the assessments whether their strengths is still relevant in the competition or not. Okay, because again, it is a moving target. Why is that? Because meeting the customers' needs are also moving targets. Okay, so therefore you do need to keep nurturing it. Yes, you have got the superior skills in certain product, for instance. You get strong engineering skills in making this product, for instance. Okay, therefore you can generate stronger or superior customer value. Okay, as a result, you generate strong customer satisfaction, and that leads to high market share, brand loyalty, and also profits for the organization. Okay, then put it back and keep investing to nurture that skills. Okay, right. Any questions, guys, about the SWOT analysis? All good, easy, yeah. Okay, brilliant. Right. The next thing I'd like to discuss with you is the risk assessments. In this instance, you can also look at the risk register. Now, this is a simple risk register that that I recommend us to use for your risk analysis when you assess the risks of each market. Okay. Look. How many risks? Well, look, you can outline 3-5 risks, okay, for the assessments, and that will be fair. In real life, you may have more than that. Okay, in one of my previous jobs, we together populated 3 pages of risk events. Okay, so the main points in here is the risk events. So we need to specify the risk events. Okay, not only supplier here. I just simplify that. Supplier. What do we mean by supplier? Well, suppliers here actually reflects the supplier may not be able to deliver the raw materials on time. Okay, then you write it. You write the likelihood. From 1 to 5, normally 1 reflects the low rating, 5 being high rating, that reflects almost certain. Okay, so if we say the chance is not bad, so moderate, so we put 3. Okay, the impact here is normally measured in 5 rating scales as well. And let's say the impact would be quite high because we may delay our launch. As a result, we may not meet our volume target. Okay. Therefore, the risk level would be 3 times 5, that becomes 15. Okay, then we analyze the other things. Okay, let's say key staff may resign, or competitors may do preemptive action when they know that we would launch our new product in our business in that market. Okay, they may slash the price. Okay, so we assess that as well. What's the likelihood? Okay, 2. What is the impact? Yeah, quite severe. 4. What about the key staff? If the key staff, what is the likelihood of the key staff resign from the business? 1. Let's say it's quite low. Yeah, let's say we put 1 rating, and then what is the impact that happens? Yeah, moderate. Okay, we get the assistant to step up. Okay, now we got the risk level here: 15, 8, and 3. Okay, so the priority actually goes back to the risk level. The higher the risk level is, the higher the level of the priority. Okay, so this is the one that we need to address in terms of treatment plan. Okay, so that's basically the risk register, guys. Any questions so far? All good?
You mean the likelihood?
Mm-hmm.
If you talk of 1, is it a less
likely
likelihood or
unlikely?
Unlikely.
Yes.
So when it's 5, it's likely.
5, if you rate it as 5, that if the likelihood is rated as 5, then that means you are saying it is certain. Okay, it is happening. Okay, let's say if we look at the weather, let's say we look at it is very cloudy. Okay, and the weather forecast also suggests that it will be raining, then it is certain. So likelihood to rain is 5.
Okay, right.
Okay, does it answer your question?
Yeah, that's okay.
Good. Okay. All right. Okay.
Any questions?
Sorry.
How many risks did you suggest before that we should have for our?
Yeah. Look, at least 3.
3?
At least 3. Yes.
Okay.
In real life, you'll have more than that. Okay. Why 3? Well, I would expect that it will cover at least 1 internal risk and 2 external risks.
And we should use the SWOT analysis to advise the risk register. So the risks come out of the SWOT.
Risk comes from your past analysis. Okay, your internal, external environment. Okay, external environment here includes your past analysis, your micro environment analysis. Okay, an internal analysis is actually about the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we go back to the entire presentation, okay, the entire presentation slides in this deck, okay, you need to refer to those guys, okay, the past analysis, okay, the organization, and also the other micro environmental actors such as the competitors, the suppliers, okay. Well, who knows that your supplier is based in, for instance, China, and and you're going to expand to certain markets, and unfortunately you can't ship the product from China, for instance, because they have some conflicts, for instance. Okay, that may be risks for you. Well, we can't ship the raw materials from these guys because these guys, this country is having conflicts with the other country. Okay, so that's a risk. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Now, if you don't have any questions, let's look at this one. Okay, I believe I showed this template last week. Okay, just wanting to show it again to you. Now, at this stage, I believe we have discussed the past analysis. Okay, and also the micro-environmental analysis and risk assessments. Okay, so from those analysis that we discussed before. Okay, we need to populate that into the evaluation matrix. Okay, now factor weight. The first thing that I would like to recommend you to do is to write weigh the factor. Okay, this is actually reflecting the factor weight in here. Actually reflects how important that factor is. Okay, and I'm going to talk about the potential of market later on. Okay, let's say, look, for this one, okay, I'm going to leave it to you, okay, because factor weight normally goes back to the company's experience. Okay, some companies may say, well, look, financial thing is more important for us, therefore we're going to put high factor weight for the financial issues. Okay. And the other companies may say, well, the competitors may be more important for us. Okay, so I'll leave it to you. Okay, you just need to put a bit of blurb. Okay, this is important. This is less important. Okay, now how do we weight them? How do we put the factor weights? You can put them similar to rating scale. So from 1 to 10, for instance. Okay, or you can use percentage. Let's say if you put 1 to 10. Let's say here, potential of market, we say it is quite important for us. Therefore, we put it. We will put 10 in there. Political issues, yeah, so far it's moderate, so we put 5 in here. Economic is quite important for us, so we put 8 in here. Okay, so that's how that's basically it. Okay. Now the opportunity one is I put opportunity 1, 2, and 3 actually, but we should be. There should be 2 opportunities because you are analyzing 2 markets. Okay, just change it to market 1 and market 2. Okay, so you write that market. Let's say if market 1 is China, market 2 is India, for instance. Okay, then you analyze the potential market of China, the potential market of India, and you rate it. Okay, you rate it. What would you rate? Okay, from 1 to 10 again. Okay. Let's say potential market, you rate it as 10. Factor weight here is 10. And then the China, in terms of potential market, is 9. Therefore, the weighted rating here would be 90. Okay? So I just try to... Oops, hang on a second. Right. Can you see the slide, guys?
Slide's gone, Eddie.
Okay.
See you.
That come back? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. I just want to type in here. Okay. Let's say potential market. Let's say we rate it as 10 in terms of factor weight, and market 1 it is quite large, so 9 that becomes 90. Market 2. Yeah, it is still high, but not as high as the previous one, so it's 8. Okay, so weighted rating for market 2 becomes 8 times 10 becomes 80. Okay, political factors, yes, it is important, but not as such, so moderate. And market 1 is, yeah, we have problems with that because the bureaucracy is not nice. Okay, let's say 3. Market 2 is is friendlier in terms of bureaucracy and stuff, but not as sophisticated as our whole market. Let's say 5. Okay, so that becomes this one here becomes 15, 5 times 3, and this one here becomes 25. Okay, after we complete all those things, we add them all. Okay, obviously, the larger the rating is, that's one that you're going to recommend to launch. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so is that okay, guys? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now potential
Yep.
market. Okay, I just want to discuss briefly what the potential market. Let me just share another. Okay, all right, potential market or market potential. Okay, you can you can look sources from the database. Okay, if it is available, okay, like Abby's World Report, okay, use it. Okay, let's say a retail industry, you can refer, if you find the retail industry from Abby's World Report, then use it. Okay, if you can't, then don't push a panic button. What you can do is to look at it from build-up technique, market build-up technique. Okay, market build-up technique. Guys, by the way, we still have around 3 minutes left, and if it is cut off, please click on the same link. Yeah, I'm going to, please wait for a couple minutes for me to download the files. Okay, and after that, I'm going to come back to that link. Okay, market build-up technique. Here, market build-up technique actually helps us to understand the size of the market. Let's say size of the market is S. We do what we call as the NQP, okay, or in other words, N times Q times P, okay. What is NQP? N is actually the number of potential buyer, okay, or customers in that market, okay. So you need to look at the demographic size, the population size, okay, or if you're doing B2B business markets, then you need to look at the potential customers in there. Q here reflects the estimate quantity that they purchase, okay, in a year. Okay. P is actually the price. Okay, so if we multiply those three figures, we'll get the size, the estimate size of the market. Okay, does it help, guys? Yeah, easy, yeah. All right. Any questions?
No.
Davis, questions?
Yeah. I checked on the length of the assessment, which is 2,000 words.
Yep.
2,000 words, and I'm seeing there's a lot of items we should touch. We should write about.
Can I suggest we end our session now, and please come back to the session because I think we are going to be kicked out by Zoom. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yep. I'll end the session now. Please click on the same link. Yeah. Give me a couple of minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.